All right, Shalom, Yasharala Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rachak Wadash, double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders, great millstone, peace and blessings to the whole elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, whomever you may be, wherever you may be, Shalom, Yasharala Shalom. All right, we're going to get into Exodus chapter 12. We're not going to read this whole chapter. We're going to break it up into two parts, just to keep shorter, because there's different portions and sections here, so we're going to deal with them in a certain way, which the top of this should be straightforward to you. All right, so Exodus chapter 12 verse 1, and it says what? The Passover lamb. All right, so this is the in between. All right, this is and I hate to even talk about it, but it's the facts. All right, where you have Israelites who are they act like donkeys, all right, around the Passover time. Okay, who was that? Was it Josiah the Helder? Can't remember who it was who held those flamboyant Passovers. But anyways, today in real time, you have Israelites who make light of the Lord's Passover. All right, when you go into the history, the Passover was a very dreadful time period, man, because we were ready to get up out of Egypt. All right, the last thing was commanded is that we bar every one of our neighbor. All right, and then after that, here's the next thing, all right, in our, way to deliverance, man, where we're commanded, to keep the Lord's Passover. All right. So, which pretty much here, it's straightforward, as I just said, man. All right. So this was a very, a time of, being on the edge of our seats, all right, and not knowing, what's to be of this night to come. All right. And let me see what these precepts going to. Okay, so these are scriptures about the Passover. Yep. So, Exodus 12:1, we're going to read probably down to like verse 32 and call it a session. So it says, the Passover lamb says, and the Lord Yahweh spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So this right here, all right, kills the noise for people that are saying that, the Sabbath is on Sunday, or the Sabbath is perpetually from Friday to Saturday. All right, even back then, and us being, for all those years under the Egyptians had what? Was it a 10-day week like we have today? All right, under this calendar day, 7 days in a week. I believe the Egyptians had 10 in a week, and in a month it would be 30 days, so 3 weeks in a month. All right, so for those that think the Sabbath is perpetual, which they also go off because they don't do it by the lunar calendar, and the scriptures tell us that. All right. How to do the Sabbath day. It's according to the new moon, which is the darkened moon, not the full white moon you see. All right. That's the full moon. All right. But the full dark moon that you see, that's the new moon. Okay. So not the white moon, but the dark moon. All right. When it's full, that's the new moon. That is how we things are according. All right. And so they go off on that, which is why they don't keep the Sabbath day perfectly. Okay. Or even then, we all just rehearsing righteous acts. But when the scriptures tell you how to do this according to the new moon, there should be no saying that it's perpetually Friday or Saturday or it's Sunday or whatever the case may be. All right. And so it says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. All right. So where's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all the way to Saturday? It wasn't there. OK, where's the 7 days? Who knows? It wasn't there. All right. Because we know the Lord says he rested on the seventh day. All right. From all the work. But once again, under the Egyptians, they had a 10-day week and we were captive under them. So you don't think that we have to follow their calendar as they seemingly control the days and the weeks and the months and stuff like that. See? So the Lord is now giving us, this is the beginning. And also this goes to show you around the time period, which is what? Probably around, the beginning of spring. Okay. But anyways, it says, this month shall be unto you the beginning, which spring is what? Everything, so they say spring forward. Everything comes back to life. Leaves, flowers, trees, and things of that nature, all right? Or blooming all over again, okay? You'll start to see certain, bugs and insects coming out, all right? Caterpillars are turning into butterflies and stuff like that, right? Life, okay? So it says, this month shall be unto you, and that's exactly what we got, life, man, because we were released from this prison, from the Egyptians, man. Says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. it shall it shall be the first month of the year to you. All right, not January, where a new year comes in the middle of a season. Where did they do that at? You got 4 quarters in a year, which are broken up by the seasons, but yet on Esau's calendar, a new year comes in the middle of winter. That don't sound right. Okay, so it says, speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of their souls. So if there's a small household, okay, y'all can just bring it together. So there's, everybody's partaking in the Passover, and, there's not just this whole lamb for, 3 people. All right. So it says, next unto his house, take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating, you see, shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. No, not the goat with the eye patch, or the sheep with 3 legs. No, a perfect sacrifice, which we're not going to get into this now, but all these things play into Yahushua, man, because he was our Passover lamb, the sacrificial lamb. Scriptures even talk about how no bone of his body was broken. All right, and the scapegoat will, the priest will lay his hands on the scapegoat, and then a man of stature will lead it off into the wilderness and release it. Okay, and so on and so forth. Many more things. All right, the Lord became all these things for us. Okay, so this is very symbolic of later on what is to become Yahushua. Okay, but for now we're dealing with this Passover in just a physical lamb. So it says, your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day. All right, meaning, taking care of it, and keeping close watch on it, because once again, this had to be without blemish. So you had to watch it. All right, you didn't want it to break its leg, and then you might not be able to find another one. Okay, which I know is not this serious, but at the same time, it is that serious, right? And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening, right? And when is the evening? When the sun is going down, all right? Tells you that in what? Genesis 1, the evening and the morning were the first day, okay? So Esau, also, has us off on the clock, according to days, all right? But we know, all right, that the evening and the morning, because what was first? Darkness. And he didn't say let there be darkness. It says let there be light, okay? So the evening and the morning were the first day, all right? So it says, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door post of the houses wherein they shall eat it. All right. And this is something that definitely you should not be doing today. All right. Because the rent man come by and see goat blood on the door or sheep blood on the door. Hey, I don't know where you're going, but you're going away from here. All right. You're out of there. Okay. You're out of that apartment, and you're going to be out there in some cuffs. Okay. Because they're definitely going to get rid of you. All right. And, charge you for however long, and you'll be released eventually. But don't do this. All right. This is something we did in, ancient times. All right. It says, and even if you own your house, all right, you be kind of crazy, to be painting blood on your doorpost, all right, and you might eventually, might want to paint over it. So you're doing a lot of blood smearing and then repainting the blood, and it's just not wise, all right. It's not necessary either. It says, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door post of the houses wherein they shall eat it, and they shall eat the flesh in that night. Roast with fire, right? Roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with it bitter herbs they shall eat it. And you know what? I'm going to also use, as I used last year, some horseradish. All right, hey, that is that's some heavy stuff right there. But you know what? It's probably as bitter as you can get as far as herbs, but as well as horseradish being healthy for you. Okay, and that's if you can take the heat in the kitchen, right? Because, man, that's some serious stuff right there. But it's also good for you. And it's probably as bitter as you can get it when you go into these bitter herbs. So it says, and they shall eat the flesh in that night. Roast, all right? Roast, okay? Because this was a perfect, not boiled. I think it mentions that if we go to another version. Let's see what the NLT says. If we can get it quick enough. Verse 8. Yeah, the same actually says, yep, the same night they must roast the meat over a fire and eat it along with bitter salad, greens, and bread made without yeast. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, roast, all right, with fire and unleavened bread. All right, like you see today, people not saying this is the same method they use, but you see people, eating pigs and stuff. They'll put the pig on a grill and turn it and turn it and turn it. All right. So basically, it's the whole entire sheep or goat. All right, with everything. As a matter of fact, we're about to read. It says, "And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, basically flat bread." Because we spoke about bread making before. All right, in one of these previous sessions, I believe. Okay, where we talked about how well, there's probably a couple different methods on making bread. I worked at this restaurant, so I had to actually measure my water carefully. Also had to measure the air temperature and everything, and then I would put it into the little mixer. Then I would have to flop the big thing on the table and peel it out from the little the metal pan or whatnot, and then I would cut my portions up. And what you would do after that is because you would cut your portions up, lining up on your pan under over the baking sheet, and then you would slide all of them on a tray or rack, a whole tall rack, and then you would slide that whole rack inside of a proofer. And what the proofer does is it gives it that right moisture in the air that it needs. So while it's sitting there, it's going to rise to the size it's supposed to rise to. And then once it's done proofing, you will pull it out and you slide the pan into the oven, however big your oven is, 2, 3 at a time, whatever. And then you will bake your bread, all right? And then there you go, bread, all right? So yeah, now I just thought about it. I couldn't think of the word last, the proofer. That's the machine I was talking about the last time. If you've been following the session, that's why I couldn't think of what it was called, the proofer, all right? You will put the bread in the proofer and that's when, because it has yeast in it, that's when it's going to rise to whatever size it's supposed to be. And then after it's done proofing is when you can bake it. But we're not to use we're supposed to eat unleavened bread, so not leavened bread, right? So basically flat bread, in other words, okay? Which I like flat bread, all right? It's very tasty, okay? But anyways, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs, they shall eat it, which as I recommended, which was recommended to me, horseradish, all right? Verse 9 says, "Eat not of it raw, nor sodden," all right? Which means boiled, right? At all with water, okay? So not boiling, which goes to show you, not saying we're the only ones, but we're just speaking about the Israelites. That's a method, right? Because you might have seen your mom make, I don't know, maybe some chicken saddle or something like that. What she'll do is she'll boil the chicken and it makes it real tender to fall off the bones. So she pick out all the bones and then chop up the chicken, all right? And, seed to make whatever else, all right? Okay. Or maybe some, potato salad, you're boiling potatoes, whatever the case may be. You get the point. I'm saying like boiling, all right? So, like I said, maybe we're not the only ones, but we're talking about the Israelites. So it goes to show you this is an Israelite method of cooking, boiling things, right? But we're not to sodden. We're not to, as a matter of fact, let's see what one of these words is the right one we're looking for. Just to bring it up on the screen. See, boil, cook, bake, roast, ripen, grow ripe. See, boil. Right, yeah. Eat not of it raw, because we shouldn't be eating raw meat or anything with blood in it, all right? Nor sodden or boil, right, at all with water, but roast, all right, with fire, his head with his legs and with the purtenance thereof. Basically saying you're not going to cut it open and pull out, a lung, a kidney, and, a liver and all this kind of stuff. You're not going to pull out this, just going to kill it, all right? And then you're going to roast it whole, okay? It says, "And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning," which goes to show you, once again, as we mentioned before, we're just rehearsing the righteous acts, all right? Because the average Israelite family today, we cannot, afford to buy a whole entire goat and not know, like whether, what kind of goat we grab, all right? Because the man might have sold it to us or whoever might have sold it to us. But how do we know, this, that, and the third thing? So once again, we're just rehearsing the righteous acts, man. All right. So it says, "And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire." So you're going to eat your fill, okay? And whatever's left, all right, you got to burn it up, okay? So it says, "And thus shall ye eat it." I'm sorry, shall ye eat Yeah, I said right. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, right? Basically, fully clothed, like you were ready to leave, because this is what we were prepared for, to leave. All right. Your loins, so not in your PJs, right? All right. So it says, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste, right? So you're not sitting down like you're at some restaurant taking your merry time like you want a buffet, all right, all you can eat or whatever. No, you're supposed to eat this when you eat the Passover lamb. You're not supposed to play no games, all right? You're supposed to, you're supposed to get into it, all right, and go and scoff it down. And your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah's Passover. Okay. As a matter of fact, before we close this portion here, because let me pull this up first, right? Passover, right? Just to hit it brief, we're not going to go into it deep. And you see the word there is Pesach, right? So it says Passover, sacrifice of Passover, animal victim of the Passover, festival of the Passover, which we spoke about Yahushua becoming these things for us. But I want to hit a quick angle real quick, because the churches get thrown off by this, talking about some, rabbin and stuff like that. You get the word Easter in the Bible, which was placed there strategically. All right. But when you actually, it's usually in all caps. But anyways, probably because it's not, it's an electronic Bible. But anyways, when you go to Easter, G39, 57, we didn't read the verse, Salakia. But yeah, when you go to Easter, it says the Paschal sacrifice, which was accustomed to be offered for the people's deliverance from old from Egypt. You see? So the word Easter should not be there. This should be Pesach or Passover. See? The Paschal lamb, in example, the lamb the Israelites were accustomed to slay and eat on the 14th day of the month of Nisan, the first month of their year, in memory of the day on which their fathers, preparing to depart from Egypt, were bidden by the Most High to slay and eat a lamb and to sprinkle their doorposts with its blood, that the destroying angel, seeing the blood, might pass over their dwellings. Hamashiach crucified is likened to the slain Paschal lamb. All right. So he also was that destroying angel that came through, okay, for that deliverance. And it goes on, as we've been talking about a lot lately, the cloud that followed the Israelites in the wilderness, the pillar of cloud by day, the pillar of fire by night, that was Yahushua following us in the chariot, or actually not following us, guiding us in the chariot, okay? The Lord sent Yahushua, all right, from this destroying death angel here, and then even after leaving out of Egypt, okay, that pillar of cloud, okay? It says the Paschal Supper, the Paschal Feast, the Feast of the Passover extending from the 14th, blah, blah, all right? So, yeah. So, right here where it says Easter should be the word Pascha or Pesach, all right? Which is what? The Passover, all right? And that verse there, Acts 12:4, and when he apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him attending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. That was the account dealing with Peter, Apostle Peter. All right, so going back here, it says, and thus ye shall eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. All right, the great death that's coming. And against all the gods, all right, as we've been talking about, all these plagues, okay, were direct threats and attacks against these Egyptian gods that they served, because they had gods that were set up over all these things, Horus and Set and Kek and all this stuff like that. All right, gods over certain things that they, that were in their everyday lives that they worship, and so on and so forth. All right. So it says, I will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. All right. I am the Lord Yahweh. Okay. So verse 13 says, and the blood shall be to you for a token, for a sign, for proof, right? Upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. That plague was the plague of death. Okay. So if you didn't adhere to this, if you were an Israelite and you didn't listen to what was commanded, you were put to death because you didn't do the Passover. All right. And part of the Passover, the main thing I'm trying to point out is you didn't put the blood on the doorpost, because that was a sign that, okay, this is one of mine. All right. Well, this is one of the Lord's. Okay. So let's keep going. Feast of Unleavened Bread. It says, in this day, and the reason why we're going to read this together is because it goes along, with it. So it says, and this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord Yahweh throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever, right? Forever, which is why we do it today. We rehearse the righteous acts, man. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. All right. So we're going into the unleavened bread, as we just spoke about above. The Passover is one thing. That's that particular night. But then that whole entire week is the Feast of Unleavened Bread, where all the leaven is supposed to be taken out of your house. If you're eating flat, and you're supposed, I believe, if I'm correct, you're supposed to eat the flat bread every day. All right. Which, like I said, I like flat bread. I don't know about you. I really like it. It really tasty to me. All right. So, yeah. So you eat the unleavened bread on the night of the Passover, as well as the remaining days of this Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right. So you're supposed to eat it every day. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. See right there. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. Yep. See, that's what you just mentioned. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be. I'm sorry. Who shall? Yeah, I read it right. Who shall ever eat it leavened bread? Right. Basically, bread that rises. Okay, as a normal loaf or something like that. You will see. All right. If you eat that from the first day, all right, from the night of the Passover, all right, and throughout the whole Feast of Unleavened Bread, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day, there shall be an holy convocation. And in the seventh day, there shall be an holy convocation. Excuse me, the word convocation, excuse me. We can pull it up. Makwara. It says convocation, convoking, reading, a calling together. There you go. Sacred assembly. All right. A solemn assembly. Let's see what Kwara says. Kwara. To call out, recite, read, cry out, proclaim. Okay, pretty much the same all there. Kwara. And then you have Bakwara. So yeah. All right. A holy convocation. And in the seventh day, there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. All right. So whatever, you got to obviously cook, or, you get the point, man. It's pretty basic there. All right. But I want to hang on the point where it says no manner of work. Right. That's impossible today. All right. This is why we needed Yahushua so badly, man. All right. Because according to all the commandments and the law and things of that nature back then, we were just out of there, man. All right. There was just no making it. All right. So we needed Yahushua to step in, which he did. You can read this in the book of Hebrews, man. All right. I want to say it's one of those chapters is Hebrews 7. As a matter of fact, it might pop up as a precept. I'm not sure. Because there's a few chapters there. So it doesn't mention Hebrews. But I believe, I don't want to just, kind of float around just looking for scripture. I believe one of those places is Hebrews. Actually, no. I believe that was dealing with Melchizedek. So I might be thinking about something else. But anyways. But yet, the point being, Yahushua had to become all these things for us. All right. That we even will have, a hope of mercy from the Lord. Okay. So because otherwise, there's just certain things written in the scriptures that we wouldn't be able to keep today. Okay. So without Yahushua, we just wouldn't even be here, period. Okay. We just, there's no hope without Yahushua. You see? So it says, no manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. Verse 17 says, and ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. And I believe that's twice he said that now. Okay. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, which is basically evening time. Okay. At even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. All right. Because that's a whole week. All right, a 7-day week. All right. So it says 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. All right. These are talking about Israelites. All right. Okay. So because remember, we migrated into the land at one point, but then also living here. Because in the early books of Exodus, all right, we were multiplying. They got afraid. So those are Israelites that were born in the land. Okay. but they're still Israelites. They're not Egyptians simply because they were born like here in America. I was born here in America. Doesn't make me an American. Yeah, by citizenship, of course, but by nationality, I'm an Israelite. Okay. And this is the second time he said the same thing here. If you eat, all right, you will be cut off from your people. Okay. So, and as I always say, the Lord will tell you something once, but if he tells you twice, or especially more than that, but if he tells you twice, how serious is he? All right. It says, ye shall eat nothing leavened in all your habitations. Ye shall eat unleavened bread. Okay. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. Right. So, however many, take, you get what, as we read up above. It says, and ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin. All right. So we can get hyssop, which I believe this was talked about before, a while back when we spoke about Yahushua on the cross, when they tried to give him the vinegar. You have to think about it. He probably had a busted lip. It was cut and bleeding. You know how much that probably would have burned him, man? Come on, man. Hyssop, a plant used for medicinal and religious purposes. If we can, we'll see if we can. A small bushy aromatic plant of the mint family, the bitter minty leaves of which are used in cooking and herbal medicine. Also says, in biblical use, a wild shrub of uncertain identity whose twigs were used for sprinkling in ancient Jewish rites. Okay. I want to see what comes up here. Okay. See hyssop. So a bunch of hyssop. All right. Basically grabbing a little bundle of it. Which that pretty much should have been straightforward anyways. So it says, and ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin and strike the lintel and the two side posts. All right. And that's what we read up above as well. As we get the word lintel though. All right. Mashakwak. I'm sorry, Mashakwap. If I'm correct. Yeah, Mashakwap. Yep. Mashakawap. Mashakawap. If I said that right. Lintel, all right, of the door. All right. So they're straightforward there. All right. Shakwap. Or Shakop. Excuse me, Shakop. So we don't need that. All right. So anyways, yep. So it says strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin, and none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. I guess we can go see what a basin is. I mean, it's pretty much understandable what it is, but never really pull it up though. Spreading out basin, goblet, bowl. All right. Basin, goblet. So what am I doing? Highlight that. And we go over here. A bowl for washing, typically attached to a wall and having faucets connected to a water supply. A wash basin. Also says a wide, round, open container, especially one used for holding liquid. All right, and that's probably the one we're talking about. Oh, so they went to the land. So we just want the simple bowl. Yeah, we're probably not gonna find one, but it's pretty much straightforward what we're talking about there. So straight, understandable. So yeah, all right. You shall go out. It says none of you shall go out at that door of his house until the morning. All right. So we'll supposed to cook that, that lamb before the evening falls, and then when the Passover comes, you start your whole Passover ceremony. All right, and do accordingly as we read, and you have to come out. But of course, living in today, all right, men have to go to work. Yeah, if you're off, you might be off. And if not, then yeah, you gotta go to work, and it is what it is. You don't think the Lord knows that? Like He didn't put us in captivity. All right, that's why we keep mentioning how we're rehearsing the righteous acts, but doing the Passover, all right, shows our diligence, and our reverence for the Heavenly Father and His commandments. All right. So that's the end of Exodus chapter 12. Oh, actually, I said we were going to go down to 32. Then, let me see here. Yeah, let's get those verses real quick. A memorial of redemption. All right. Exodus 12 and 23. For the Lord Yahweh will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when He seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, all right, the Lord Yahweh will pass over the door. All right. So basically, the two, when you walk through your front door, you see two sides and one on the top. All right. That's what it's talking about. It says, and the two side posts, Yahweh will pass over the door, all right, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. And that destroyer was Yahweh Shah. And we can get the word destroyer here, see what it says. To destroy, corrupt, to go to ruin, decay, to be marred, to be spoiled. So basically to destroy, all right? Main word there. Okay? I wonder what precepts might be here, if anything. Suffer the destroyer. Seems to be some things here. Oh, hey, didn't we just mention this? Yeah, look, Isaiah 37:36. The angel of the Lord Yahweh went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. All right. A score is 20. So a four score would be 80. So 180 and 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses. Bam. You see? Can't make it up, man. This is beautiful because we read this verse all the time. Ezekiel 9:4. So the mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and cry for the abomination that be done in the midst thereof. This is similar to what we also read in Peter, 1 Peter 4:17, where judgment shall begin at the house of Israel. This is a similar scripture. Slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark. They begin at my sanctuary. They begin at the ancient men which were before the house. You see? Those that understood, right from wrong. Hebrews 11:28, through faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of blood, lest he that destroyed the firstborn should touch them. And I mentioned Hebrews, yep. I just thought about it, mentioning Hebrews, all right? Hebrews 12:24, and to Yahweh, the mediator of the new covenant, and to the blood of sprinkling that speaketh better things than that of Abel. Which the blood of sprinkling, referring to, if I'm correct, that was the covenant in Exodus 24, the blood covenant we entered into, where Moses sprinkled all the blood from the basin and so on and so forth. There's a good verse for these modern days, right? The top of Revelation 7. All right. So yeah, bam. Okay, the beautiful verses there. All right. So let's get back. So verse 24 says, and ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. All right, forever, right? So it says, and it shall come to pass when ye become to the land which the Lord Yahweh will give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service. Okay, once I deliver you and you get where I tell you to go, you're going to continue doing this because he already said forever multiple times, right? So it says, and it shall come to pass when your children shall say unto you, what mean ye by this service? Then ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of Yahweh's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children. All right. And this is very important because when you're dealing with today, all right, what do you got the Israelites teaching their children about? Pagan customs, all right? Halloween and Christmas and birthdays and so on and so forth. All right. And mainly looping back around to the point, Easter. Oh, I do it for the kids, bro. Well, the Lord gonna kill you for the kids, all right? Because he's not dealing with Easter, talking about some bunny rabbits laying eggs and stuff like that, all right? And I believe other nations, right, have these customs, all right? Even the Moabites and all these people, they had these customs, man, of hiding eggs that were painted and so on and so forth, okay? That is an ancient pagan custom, and the Israelites followed because under these heathen nations, they picked up their ways, man. And so even to this day, you see the Israelites doing what? Picking up the ways of the heathens. And in particular, we're talking about Easter, man. You're not supposed to be teaching your kids about Easter. You should be teaching your kids about the Passover, as we just went into the word Passover and briefly broke it down, man. You see? Which it didn't take but, 30 seconds, really. But, brothers can, pull a whole lesson from that. But it doesn't take much. Just go into the word Easter, Pesach, all right, Pascha, Passover, okay? Easter shouldn't be there. And then, you can go and find some history on that. But anyways, then ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord Yahweh's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians, and delivered our houses, and the people bowed head and worshiped. Okay? So it says, and the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord Yahweh had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And the scriptures tell you, as we mentioned the last time, train up a child in the way that they should go. Actually, I don't think we brought that particular scripture up. We went to the one in Deuteronomy chapter 4, okay? I believe this one is in it's like Proverbs or Ecclesiastes, if I'm right. Train up. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. I'm not sure. Let's up a child. See if we can get this. Yeah, Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. All right. So being trained up in Easter, the child is going to keep doing Easter. And the parents are going to keep doing Easter. And the parents are going to keep doing Christmas. And the parents are going to keep doing this and doing that. Because their cop out is I do it for the kids. Well, you're the parent, especially the man over the household. Okay. So, the Lord's going to bring a judgment for that. And we read this from the last time. Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons, especially the day that thou stoodest before the Lord thy God in Horeb, when the Lord said unto me, gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, and that they may teach their children. You see? And we enter to a blood covenant, Exodus chapter 24. Also another one you can go into Deuteronomy 33. All right. But let's go back and finish this. And the children of Israel went away and did as Yahweh had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. What's this right here? Exodus 11, 1 through 10. There's another okay, we read that actually. But anyways, verse 29. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord Yahweh smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of the cattle. And it's beautiful because the scriptures talk about at midnight there was a cry made. And as we just mentioned before, who's the modern day Pharaoh? It's the banking families, all right? Because America is a spiritual Sodom in Egypt, okay? And so at midnight, all right, there was a cry made, okay, where the bridegroom crawled out, okay, and called out for the bride. And the Lord's going to jack up this earth and deliver up the elect, man. All right. In spectacular fashion. Not some ships and airplanes, right? On a chariot. All right. In style. All right. Style beyond style. All right. It says, and Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. All right. The Lord making due on his promise, man. This plague, man. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night. All right. He couldn't even wait. All right. Nah, get them now. Bring him. All right. Bring them. Rise up and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go serve the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds as ye have said, and be gone and bless me also. Why would I want to do that? But hey, this is what the Lord had to do to break Pharaoh. But it's not over yet. It's not over yet. He broke Pharaoh. We can finally leave, but it's not over yet. He's going to harden Pharaoh's heart once more to come and chase us down, man. All right. He's going to deal with him, justly. All right. Justly. Where it says Exodus out of Israel, which, if I'm correct, the word Exodus, what does it mean? I think like a coming out, a leaving out, or a coming out. You can actually look up the word. It gets a little deeper than that, but yeah, in a base sense, I believe it means a coming out. All right. So Exodus. So verse 33 says, and the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, we be all dead men. And why is that? All right. When you go back up to the first portion here, not going to go into it. Just watch the first installment of chapter 12. All right. But overall, this was the plague of the firstborn, or I mean, I guess you could say firstborn, because Pharaoh's household, all their servants and everything, and all of Egypt, and all of Pharaoh's cattle, as well as the Egyptian people, his people and their cattle. All right, so the firstborn of all. Okay, and we're gonna get into this real quick because we didn't go into in the first half, but for a specific purpose of going into the second half, and we're gonna pull up this here. So as we all should probably know, because this one guy right here, this so-called God, all right, or the Egyptians see as a God, but you get the point. This is probably the most known one out of all the Egyptian gods because you see it everywhere. It's always posted everywhere. Movies, was the Mummy. The Mummy. I believe he was in the Mummy movie. You saw him in there. What another? I'm trying to think of another movie he might have been in. What's the one? Gods of Egypt. Gods of Egypt. Okay, I believe Anubis was because the girl, the main character's a girlfriend or something like that. I don't know. She ended up dying, or I forget exactly, but yeah, she was basically supposed to be with Anubis, and you know, I'm pretty sure you've seen the movie. If not, you watch, you know exactly what I mean. But the point I was making is, this character pops up all the time. He's probably the most known out of all the Egyptian gods because you see him everywhere. He's constantly in movies and things of that nature. Next to, hear them talking about Ra or Cyrus and stuff like that. Okay. But it says Anubis, ancient Egyptian god of funerary practices and care of the dead. All right. So it says represented by a jackal or the figure of a man with the head of a jackal. Right. And so and we know this is fake, especially as so-called black people. They love to say, talk about Egypt and Africa and stuff, and you're neither nor. You're not African, you're not Egyptian, all right? But our people are lost, okay? And that's what the problem is. But anyways, it says, in the early dynastic period of the Old Kingdom, he enjoyed a preeminent thought, not exclusive, position as Lord of the Dead, but he was later overshadowed by Osiris, as we just mentioned Osiris, right? So yeah, Anubis, this jackal head. You can go to the wiki if you want more on him. What I will do is pull up the images. Okay, there's some AI art right there. But you see general, and notice the skin color, right? Brown. You know why? Because these original people were brown skin. Not that it means that he was a so-called black person, all right? As today they know, using that term, right? So-called Negro, I should say. All right, there's more art. So you see this guy, this jackal head guy, his whole statue here. I almost called it a bust, but it's actually a full statue. Because a bust would be like the chest up or neck up, like at least shoulder length up. That's be a bust. All right, so you see this guy. Oh wait, what did I just see? You see, look, there's some wall relief right there. Okay, so this jackal, and he's dealing with what? A dead body. All right. So, well, there's another one. And see, the thing is, from an art standpoint, you can see a lot of nice art in these other cultures, but it's really more so what's behind these things. All right. And I speak, from an artist standpoint, I'm talking about. So what's behind these things is what matters the most. Because you can have something that looks nice anywhere. I don't think we need that again. I was just thinking of something, just slipped my mind. As a matter of fact, we're in chapter 12. Let me see if I can jump back to chapter 11 real quick and see if I can find something. Here it is. Exodus chapter 11, verse 5. And all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maidservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. Okay. I want to find another verse though. Actually mentions, it says, and there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it anymore. And we pretty much read that in the first part of chapter 12. But I want to see if I can find a particular verse here. I'm not sure if it's in this chapter, because we just recently read over it. Unless it was actually in chapter 12. Let me check one more chapter here. I don't think as far back as 10, because it may actually be in chapter 12. Okay, so if I don't see it, as a matter of fact, this is what I can do. Let me bounce back. Here's 12. Let me look up the top of 12. See if I can see what I see. All right, so that was the Feast of Red. Let's see what else here. More redemption. So it's definitely not going to be in here. So let me see if I can punch up. Hold on. It might be further back. I might be able to find, if I punch in gods, maybe gods of Egypt. Matter of fact, I believe it's actually written in that verse there. So if it comes up, I should be able to find it. Yeah, it's blue letter. Okay. Actually, no, I do need. I do need God's. Let me get rid of G. It's got to be in here. There's a scripture where it says directly. Here it is. Yeah, it was in 12, so I looked over it. Okay, yeah. I knew we had just read it. Yep. What was this, though? Now, what is Jeremiah talking about? Now, if Egypt happened a long time ago, what is Jeremiah talking about? I will kindle a fire in the houses of the gods of Egypt, and he shall burn them. And we know America is spiritual Sodom and Egypt. All right, but we're not getting into that. I wanted this verse here. As a matter of fact, we can just go back to the chapter and get it from there. I knew it was somewhere around here when we just recently read it because I wanted to make a point there. Because we just talked about Anubis, all right? This pretty much to generalize this god of the dead, right? So in verse 12, now you have to remember all these other installments we did. We've been talking about it and going through how all these plagues were, terrible things that come upon, these Egyptians, which one of them in particular resulted in death, all right, or some deaths, which was the hail that was mingled with fire. But we're talking about a mass death. And I believe I said that last time where this was the first time, because I got to correct myself on that. It really was the first time of death, because there was death in one of the previous plagues, but I was speaking really more so of a mass death. But still, just to correct myself, it wasn't the first deaths in general, but just mass deaths, right? Which the plague we're dealing with now. But to close up my thought, yeah, all these other plagues, these weren't just random things the Lord was doing. Like, okay, I thought of it this way. All right, I'll make this. I'm gonna make trees fall from the sky, and fall on houses and stuff like that. He wasn't just doing random acts, right? He was sending plagues upon Pharaoh and the Egyptians according to the gods that they worshipped. Okay, and that's why we're going to read what we're reading here. Exodus 12:12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and what? And against all the gods of Egypt. See? So all these plagues that the Lord brought, all right, were basically a show, a smaller level, but still a show of the Lord's power over these false gods that the Egyptians worship, because every plague was associated with one of these gods or something that they worshiped. God associated with this, God associated with that. And there's many gods that they worship, but the Lord brought plagues on the main gods that they worshiped. All right. And that's the base of these plagues, man. It was not only to show the Lord's power, but these plagues also were direct threats and attacks on these high level, gods that the Egyptians worshipped. It says, all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt, I will execute judgment. All right. Shapat. All right. I am the Lord Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah. And we jump back down here and get the chapter moving. Verse 33, it says, and the Egyptians were urgent upon the people that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, we be all dead men. So now you see why we went through all of that and even talked about Anubis. All right. Because he was the god over the dead. All right. And so what did the Lord do? He smote all the firstborn from Pharaoh and his family, to his servants, all his household, and to all the Egyptians, all right, who he was Lord over, okay, throughout all the land of Egypt, of course, except for Goshen and Goshen, all right, because we were in that land. It says, and the people took their dough before it was leavened, all right, before it had risen up, all right, and how you like loaves of bread today, dough that rises, right? Flat bread is bread without leaven, and bread that rises is bread with leaven, all right, because it's the leaven that makes it rise, the yeast and everything else. Okay, so it says they're kneading troughs, all right, which we talked about that, when we went into talking about baking. These kneading troughs was basically the ancient form of putting your finished dough into a proofer, all right, so it can rise up, okay. But so when you listen to what it's saying here, it says, and the people took their dough before it was leavened, before it had a chance to sit and rise up. Why was that? And their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they brought of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. All right. So it's because they had to get out of there. All right. Immediately. They don't have time to. Well, I'm glad that Pharaoh has let us go now. But so we need at least a day or so, at least even if we just get some, 5 hours here so our bread can rise. No, it's time to go. Okay. And going back on this, is probably the third time we read this particular verse, all right, barring from their neighbors being, talking about these Egyptians that they live amongst, all right. It says jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord Yahweh gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And I believe we went into that word favor. Okay. So we can pull it up. Favor. And it says what? Grace, charm, elegance, acceptance. All right. In the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they require, and they what? Spoiled the Egyptians. Meaning what? Took all their things. All right. The word is not to zal, to snatch away. You see, deliver, rescue, save. Look, strip, plunder. All right, to be torn out or away, to strip off the spoil. Right there, you see, to strip off the spoil. Okay, so yeah, to snatch away, to strip, to plunder, to spoil. Okay, the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men beside children. You know what? I'm curious of where this may possibly be located. Raamsas, child of the sun, a city in Lower Egypt built by the Hebrew slaves, probably in Goshen. So obviously, well, I mean, we obviously know this is in the north, okay? Because don't get fooled by how it's worded. Lower Egypt, Upper Egypt. Upper Egypt is actually south when you look on the map, and Lower Egypt is actually north. We spoke about this before. It's because of the geographical like terrain. The Nile River actually flows upwards. All right. Okay, so from Upper Egypt, which is in the south, the Nile River flows upwards towards Lower Egypt, which is in the north. All right, because of the terrain. All right, the way because if it went from uphill from Upper Egypt to Lower Egypt, that wouldn't make sense. That's just defying gravity and everything, So it's the geographical location of how the river flows. All right, it pretty much the Nile River flows from the south towards the north. Okay. So from Upper Egypt to Lower Egypt, all right? So it's all about geographical, terrain, and so on and so forth. What do we come over here for? Ramses, we're probably not going to get anything from there. They're probably going to bring up the person, if anything. Yeah, see, that was built for Pharaoh by the Israelites. Exist by Ramses, with the capital built by the 19th dynasty Pharaoh Ramses II. It's one of the images. Yeah, I highly doubt they're going to give us a map, but it's okay. I really didn't expect them to give me anything on that. I was just going to see. So as we continue on, it says about 600,000 on foot that were men beside children. All right, so it says 600,000 on foot that were men. All right, beside children. Okay, so these were just the men alone, if I'm correct. As a matter of fact, let's see what the other versions read. What verse is that? 37. Let's see what the other versions read here, how they explain it. Now the Israelites journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides the women. You see? So yeah, like I said, the 600,000 were men alone. All right. So, you had single men, but you probably also had men who had women and families. And some men probably had, a single child, or maybe they had multiple children. So they had big families, some had small families, and you had single men. All right. So, man, the number could have been anywhere from 600,000 to 800,000. All right. Or 700,000. Okay. Given the families. Okay. Because you're talking about 600,000 men alone, not the women and children. Okay. So this number could have, clearly, easily been anywhere under the million. All right. Million mark. Possibly even more than that. But, we're just, guesstimating here, because no one really knows exactly for sure. But we do know it was 600,000 men alone. So the women, it could have been, an equal number of women, or at least close, or maybe more women. Who knows? Could have been more women. All right. Could have been 800,000 women. And then you're talking about the children. So you're talking about, it could very well easily be 1.5 million Israelites leaving out of Egypt. Which, when you go in and realize just how big the earth is, that's a small number, and makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, 1.5 million people sounds big until you realize how big the earth is, and you're like, it's very, very, very possible. All right. So this could have very well been, over a million, 1.5 million Israelites leaving out of Egypt, man. Okay. Let's just see what the NLT says anyways for kicks. Bear with my device. Here we go. Here we go. Verse 37 says, that night, the people of Israel left Ramses and started for Succoth. There were about 600,000 men plus all the women and children, you see. So it's making clear that the 600,000 were men alone. Okay. And that could have very well been more women, which usually in society, there's usually more women than men anyways. So that's why I just gave that example there. It could have easily went from 600,000 real quick to, I don't know, double that, maybe 13. All right. And then you got the children. So easily, it could have been at least 1.5 million Israelites, all right, leaving out of Egypt, man. Okay. So let's go back down here. And you know what? We couldn't get Ramses, but we could maybe we can find Succoth. Possibly. We can look into it. Meaning booths. All right. The site where Jacob put up booths for his cattle and built a house. The first stopping place of the Israelites when they left Egypt. There you go. That's what we're looking for. And we might get something out of here. I see a map. Let's do this. Okay. I'm looking for something that is zoomed out because they can show us the area. But if it's not zoomed out, no, I believe this is too far south. Well, I don't know what the heck is up with that. Because we haven't even crossed over it. Out of, let me see here. That's another Succoth. What's this here? So you can't really tell what's going on there. So, you can try to find it yourself. I could probably keep looking. If I was on my own time, I'd definitely try to keep looking, but just for sake of the lesson here. Okay, because we know that Goshen was, somewhere in this general area here, so that's the Succoth right there, supposedly. Because that could be wrong, all right? Because a lot of times you look at these different maps and people have, certain things in different places. Especially because I look at these type of maps a lot. You see the red marker there. Sometimes there'll be a question mark, a red question mark, which means they believe this may be the location, but we're not sure. We just think this would be the general area. So, even so-called scholars are not always right about things, or even always agree on things. So if it's all you just doing your own little research if you care to, just do some extra looking, and kind of like we did with the Book of Acts. If you were following those series, just marking where we journeyed. So let's keep going. It says, and a mixed multitude went up also with them. All right, meaning non-Israelites. All right, let's see what the word mixed goes into. Did this mean they were the Lord's people? Heck no. Okay. You have to understand. All right. Some of those Hebrew men had Hebrew wives, but some of those Hebrew men took Egyptian women to themselves. Okay, and made children. All right. And that's not far-fetched. What do you mean Israelite had a Egyptian? Well, okay. Let's talk about Yahweh, big brother Yahweh. Okay. Was he not in Egypt first? Was he not given what was the name? Zephanath Paneah, and what was his wife's name? That was the name they gave him, and his wife, I forget her name. But anyways, she was Egyptian, all right? That's the point. Okay? So, and we know it's in the law, like when you go into I believe it's somewhere in Deuteronomy, all right, when you're talking about going to war, you were able to what? You kill all the men, and pretty much take the women for yourselves, all right? The women and the children, okay? And that woman, she would have a month to grieve over her family, okay? She would take off her, the clothes of her captivity, as it says, pretty much what from her people and her, society, whatnot. And you would give her, garments to wear, all right? She would shave her hair and pare her nails and so on and so forth. And then after that month is over, she's grieved, all right, whether she likes it or not, because maybe she's gotten over it. And whatever happens after this, she just kind of, she just let it happen. Or she could still be angry. Like, these people just killed my whole family, and now I'm one of their women. All right. And so whichever the situation may be, doesn't matter. You still go in unto her, meaning what? You take her and you have sex with her and you make her your concubine. She is now yours. She belongs to you. She belongs the moment you took her, into that captivity. All right, she belonged to you anyways. But she has, according to the law, she has a time period where she's to grieve and so on and so forth, and she has to do certain things within that time period. And then afterwards, she's yours. All right, you can go and smash her as often as you want, have children with her and everything. All right, but you have certain Israelite men who think, oh, this guy's what you talking about? You got a white woman. By the bust a blood vessel. He's got a heathen woman. Oh, he's with this Japanese girl. Oh, stop tripping. All right. What did the Lord say? Okay. It's okay. It's okay, man. Just go get you a little, snow bunny, man. It'll be all right. As mixed, interwoven. All right. In other words, getting into material. Let's see what this says. I rob. It says going into something else. So there's not much here. It just says as mixed. Okay. Or interwoven. But yeah, as a matter of fact, let's see what they say in the NLT. Go to verse 38. A rabble of non-Israelites went with them. Come on, man. You see? Along with great flocks and herds of livestock. Oh, excuse me. But to finish off my point, yeah, as I was making, so you probably had Israelite men with Israelite women. Then you had Israelite men who probably, got fond of an Egyptian woman. And so that woman left with him because that's his wife. And they're getting out of Egypt, okay? So, hey, you're my wife, Egyptian or not. You coming with me. And then you probably had, which is far-fetched, but it's still not, out of the question. Because you have Israelite women who might have even got taken by Egyptian men. And if their people are leaving and she's leaving too, that man probably loved her so much that, hey, he went with her. Okay? Now, I said it's more far-fetched because, I'm pretty sure that Egyptian man probably wanted to stay because he's not a slave, all right? But that's why I came from the angle of he loved her so much. It's possible. But from the angle of a man, that's most definitely, not far-fetched at all right? For a Hebrew man, because we do it today, all right? Look at our men today. We like all types of women, and so on and so forth, all right? So, yeah. So it's definitely not far-fetched for some Israelite men to have taken Israelite women to be their ladies, all right? And so when they left out of Egypt, well, this is my woman, well, she's coming with me, and we probably have children. And then later on in the scriptures, I believe it mentions that's dealing with something else. I was thinking about the time of Ezra, all right, and all them, where he was he pretty much made that plea to put away those wives, all right, of these heathen women. Okay, but you had the point I was about to make though, because like I said, it's dealing with something else, but I'm just finish that point off since I mentioned it. Where you had women who had children, who those children were heathen children because they had it by a man. I guess they probably weren't with anymore, but a Hebrew man took that woman, and so when you take that woman, pretty much, just like today, no different from today, if a woman has a child, she might got a little daughter or a son or whatever, all right, might even got twins, but if you really, find a taking to her, she's a package deal. So, and if that man's okay with that, then cool, that's their business, all right? So you had that happen back then, all right, where the Israelite man took a woman, who probably had a child or two, and that became his family. Okay. So that's a whole other topic though. I don't want to get into that. A rabble of non-Israelites. Let's see what the AMP says and we can continue. Where's my AMP? These things keep moving. The buttons here. What verse is that? 38. Let's see if we can get to 38. It says a mixed multitude of what? Of non-Israelites from foreign nations. And that takes it a step further. As to whether or not that's true, hey, that's not far-fetched because you could have had people coming from all over. Just like people travel today, were not people traveling back then. How do you think the Israelites were spread all over? All right. And not every Israelite on the planet was here in Egypt either. Okay. All right. This wasn't every Israelite on the planet. This was just a particular multitude of Israelites that continued this story of our history. All right. So it says also went with them along with both flocks and herds, a very large number of livestock. So you can't make it up, man. All right. So for those Israelites out there, all right, who don't believe, in having women of heathen nations, well, okay, we'll just have Israelite women. but you're not going to stop an Israelite man from having whatever woman he wants. Okay, you're going to have plenty. We are going to have plenty of Israelite women in the kingdom, and guess what? I'm most definitely going to have my fair share of Hebrew women as well, because I gotta, we just, hey, we men, we like all different, women. Okay, we got things for women, things for women of other nations. All right, I'm sure enough. Just then that's not going to live forever. It's going to be regular concubine, and it's still going to be mortal. All right, but hey, you're going to find a liking. You see this nice, I don't know, some daggone Taiwanese woman. You're like, damn, she's, you're going to take her. All right. But I guess those other camps are going to say, no, I don't care how fine she is, brother. She's not an Israelite. You get it, man. But hey, to each his own. All right. I'm pretty sure that mindset is when the kingdom is established, that mindset is definitely going to change, man. All right. And a lot of these Israelite women, all right, because women in general are going to get, destroyed. All right. A lot of them get destroyed in Jacob's trouble. And a whole big old majority of those women are going to be Israelite women. So where you going to get, because what if the Lord ain't sending no Israelite woman through your path? Maybe you're of the elect. All right. You have that mindset now. You're of the elect. And the Lord doesn't send no Israelite woman your way. He sends nothing but heathen women your way who are willing to be yours because the Lord sent them to you. But you're going to deny? Absolutely not. Cut. Hey, stop the cap. Stop the cap, man. All right. Well, let's get off that subject, man. Because you can keep talking about it, man. Because, hey, I mean, but we go for what the scriptures say, man. And also it's written in the law, all right, that we can have women of other nations. And when you go into our forefathers, many of our forefathers have women of other nations, which is why I just mentioned Yawasa. And there's others that you can probably think about. Okay. Come on, man. How you think Abraham had Ishmael in the story? All right. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men beside children. Okay. Actually, I don't think Ishmael was from, but anyways, you get the point though. All right. You get the point. Okay. That I was making. All right. Which is the perfect point was Yawasop. All right. So it says, and a mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. All right. It says, and they baked unleavened cakes of the dough. All right. So, pretty much flatbread. All right. Of the dough, which they brought forth out of Egypt, for it was not leavened. All right. Not risen up, because they were thrust out of Egypt. This is what we talked about earlier. All right. Why was it not leavened? Because they didn't have time. They had to get up out of there. All right. They were thrust out of Egypt and could not tarry. Neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Basically talking about food. All right. Pretty sure you heard me say that word many, many times. And the word is tazayada, tazayada, excuse me, tazayada, provision food, okay? Excuse me. It says, verse 40 says, now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years, all right? Now, we talked about this already, so we're not going to get into it. Going back to Genesis chapter 15. Where Abraham was given that nighttime vision there. He took all the animals, split them in half, except for the turtle doves. He didn't split those in half. But all the bigger animals he split in half. And then the Lord passed through, like a fire, or I think it mentioned like an oven or something like that. All right. But yeah, just pretty much what's the word I'm looking for? Man, what's the word I'm looking for? Solidifying, all right? He solidified, what he told Abraham, pretty much, that his descendants will serve another people, all right, for X amount of years in this land, and then I will deliver them, and they will come out with great substance, all right? This is all mentioned back then from Abraham in the book of Genesis chapter 15, and we just read these, probably over the last couple chapters, the same thing, us leaving out with substance. We just read it in this same chapter, all right, from the first session to this one, part 2. So it says, and it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the self same day, it came to pass that all the hosts of the Lord Yahweh went out from the land of Egypt. All right. So it says, ordinance of the Passover. So now we're switching back to what we read in part 1, the Passover. It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord for bringing them out of the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. All right, this is very important. Let's see what the word ordinance goes into. Statute, enactment, something prescribed, statute. All right, so this is solidified from the Lord, right? We went into this before Pesach. Okay, Passover sacrifice, right? So it says, there shall no stranger eat thereof. All right. Now there's two different words here for the word stranger. The first one comes up, I believe, deals with Israelites. There you go, bun, because bun in the Hebrew means what? Son. All right. So that son, that male child, or son in general. All right. So it says, there shall no stranger eat thereof. So we know it's not talking about the Israelites because we're his people. But when you go to the other word here, the word should be nakar, if I'm correct. See, yeah, there it is, nakar. All right. So it says what? Foreign, alien, foreignness, that which is foreign. All right. Alien, foreigner. All right. Let's see what this says here. Come on. Okay, so it's going to something else. So this is very important to understand here, because the correct word for stranger here should be H5236, because you have to understand, as we just went through all that, topic right there, other people who came out from Egypt along with the Israelites, not because the Lord was delivering them, but there was a mixed multitude that came along, all right, because of, we'll just say family situations and things of that nature, all right? So, yeah. Yeah, it says, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. All right. So this stranger that's not to eat of the Passover are talking about heathens. Okay. So these heathens cannot eat of the Passover. All right. So it says, but every man's, it says, actually, let me go back, because I take that back. Oh, wait, because let me make it clear. Down below, it talks about the heathens. This verse right here is dealing with Israelites. Let me make it clear. So it says, and Lord Yahweh said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. But every man's servant that is bought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. All right. So we're talking about the topic of Israelites. Then when you get further down, it says a foreigner and an hired servant shall not eat thereof. But wait a minute. Didn't it just say a stranger cannot eat thereof? So you have to understand the difference between when it's talking about Israelites and it's talking about heathens, all right, foreigners. Okay, to us they would be known as foreigners, even though we were foreigners in their land. But you get the point, though. All right. So there's a difference that the Lord is making here and saying that, hey, there's no heathen that's going to eat of this Passover lamb, is going to partake in this particular ceremony. Okay, and I hate to bring it up, but yet you had the bishop who wanted to ride in on the Passover on a horse, and he had like Edomites, all right, leading and guiding the horse. What are they even doing there? What are they even doing knowing that you have a Passover? They should know what you're doing, what day it's on, and all this stuff. Okay, but anyways, all right. Just to make the point, so this is making a separation between Israelites and heathens. All right, there's no heathens that partake in the Passover ceremony whatsoever. All right. So it says, in one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof, which is symbolic. As we talked about this before, later on, way in the New Testament where it really counts, going into Yahushua's sacrifice on the cross, where he hung his head, and they pierced his side with the spear, but it says no bone shall be broken, because the two guys that were crucified with them, one on the right hand, one on the left hand, they break their legs, all right, and their bones, all right, because that speeds up the process of death, all right, brings extra weight down in the body and so on and so forth, okay, and so their legs were broken, but when they came to Yahushua, he was already dead, so there was no need to break his legs to speed up the process of death, all right, okay, so that wasn't necessary. All right. So this was symbolic of Yahushua later on the cross, man, where it says, neither shall you break a bone thereof. Also going into that Passover lamb, how you supposed to roast it, the whole entire lamb. All right. Only thing, anything, it was the blood that might have been drained out, because you have to kill it. Okay. But other than that, everything was roasted, nothing taken out of it, just straight roasted. Okay. Of course, we only eat the clean portions. All right. Things that inside we're not supposed to eat, we don't eat, but the whole thing was roasted, all right? Or if it could have been a goat, all right, well, that was roasted. So it says, now then shall ye break a bone thereof. It says, all the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. So this stranger here is talking about an Israelite, okay? Because like I said, these are not the only Israelites on the planet that were in Egypt, okay? There were other Israelites, all right? And so, after leaving out of Egypt, if another Israelite comes along, they can prove they're an Israelite and they start to, to rock out with this group right here, okay? They're going to have to, do whatever is necessary if they want to partake, some year in the Passover, right? Because they may be a stranger to this group of Israelites. They're not strangers as in heathens, but they're strangers as in they came from somewhere else to be with this group of Israelites. So you're a stranger to those Israelites in that sense, okay? So this is what this is talking about. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. All right. So that's one of the key things there. In order to partake in the Passover, you have to be circumcised. Okay. And so that further shows that this was also talking about Israelites, because they, for one, could partake in the Passover, but in order to keep it, they have to make sure that all their little male children, and the men, themselves were circumcised. All right. And that word, I'm not sure if it's the same there. There's an H1121, and this one says H1616 for stranger. And the word there is gar, you see? Sojourner, all right? A temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights. Foreigners in Israel, though conceded rights, you see? So an Israelite coming to be with his bigger group of people, right? He came all the way from, Syria to be with this big group of Israelites here that just got delivered from out of Egypt. So he will be, a sojourner, somewhat seeming like as a stranger to them, because he didn't, go through what they went through in Egypt, and, whatever the case may be. All right. You get the point there. So this is talking about Israelites. All right. And then let him come near and keep it, and he shall be as one that is born in the land. You see? For no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. And this is key, because it goes on to say, one law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. You see? So it's talking about other Israelites when it says this stranger. It says, thus, now we got to the chapter quick. I thought it was more. Anyways, it says, thus did all the children of Israel, as the Lord Yahweh commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the self same day that the Lord Yahweh did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies, right? Like in scripture said, we will come up harnessed, all right? That word harness, I believe it goes into like in groups of 5, like basically in a formation, as if they were an army, okay? Which obviously was probably talking about the men, and then you had the women and children follow, and the elderly and stuff like that, all right? So actually, we got through that quicker than I thought. Well, that was Exodus chapter 12, part 2, okay? Couple things to talk about there in this chapter, which is why we, did 2 separate halves. But, Lord will, you will edify to next time, Yahshua. I'm going to say shalom.